Welcome to the deep dive. Think for a second about the places you spend your time, maybe your office, your home workspace, even the apps you use every day. How much do those environments really, truly understand you, like your deeper intentions?
It's a great question to start with because right now, a lot of our systems, our cities, our digital tools, our workplaces,
hmm
they feel kind of exhausted structurally.
Yeah, exactly. They're smart, sure, with AI and data and all that,
Yeah.
but they often feel, well, disconnected, detached from why we even built them in the first place.
Right. We've pushed for optimization, linear thinking, project management that's sort of disembodied, but it's just not cutting it for the really complex challenges we face today, the ethical ones, the aesthetic ones.
And that's exactly why we're diving into something called Project ORA today. It stands for OntoReal Architectures for Conscious Infrastructure. It sounds complex, but the core idea is pretty radical.
It really is. It's about creating environments, physical and digital, that aren't just smart in the technical sense, but are, let's say, conscious in orientation, aware of their purpose.
So the mission for this deep dive is figuring out how ORA plans to do this. It seemed to pull together so many different fields.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking cognitive architecture, systems theory, generative AI, the really cutting edge stuff, but also sustainability science, aesthetics. It's incredibly ambitious.
The goal being infrastructure that actually evolves with us,
Yeah.
resonating with human values and, well, life itself.
Precisely. It's about making purpose, our why, a fundamental design variable, a first-class citizen in how we build our world.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We've got smart cities, smart homes, AI seems to be everywhere these days, but what's fundamentally missing? Why the disconnect we talked about?
Well, I think what's often missing is that sense of deeper meaning and purpose. Our current systems, they're optimized, absolutely, for efficiency, scalability, speed.
All the things we measure easily.
Exactly. But they're not necessarily optimized for alignment with what a user really intends deep down. They do what you ask, maybe, but they don't grasp the why.
And that raises a huge question, doesn't it? Can these systems truly support us if they don't understand why they exist? Or maybe more importantly, why we exist within them?
That's the core issue ORA tries to tackle. Can a system be truly helpful if it's fundamentally unaware of purpose?
So is that where OntoReal Architectures come in? It sounds like the proposed solution. Can you break down what that term actually means?
Yeah, let's break it down. OntoReal architectures are conceived as these dynamic systems. They try to embody three key things working together.
Okay.
First, ontology. That's about the structure of meaning within the system itself. Its internal map of values, relationships, what matters.
Like its own understanding of the world.
Kind of, yes. Second, reality modeling. This is how the system interacts with the world, how it senses and acts across different scales, from a single room to maybe a whole neighborhood.
And the third.
And third is architecture. This is the practical side, how these ideas about meaning and interaction are actually embedded structurally in physical space and digital interfaces over time.
So the big shift is what? Making purpose a core component.
Exactly. Instead of purpose being an afterthought or something purely human that the tech just executes, ORA treats purpose as a foundational design variable. It allows these environments to evolve with us, responding to our psychological, ethical, even ecological needs.
It's like the system becomes a mirror, reflecting our own thinking and our collective goals back at us.
That's a great way to put it, a kind of self-reflective mirror for our cognition and our group intent.
Okay, so that connects to the theoretical grounding. It makes me think about, how the spaces we inhabit aren't just static backgrounds. They shape us. We shape them, they shape us back.
Absolutely. That idea, sometimes called ontological design, is crucial. Thinkers like Maturana, Flores, Anne-Marie Willis, they've explored this recursive relationship. ORA tries to make it operational.
How does it do that? How do you make meaning operational in a system?
Through something they call the ontotechnic layer. You can think of it like a live modeling interface. It's constantly working to encode values, meanings, intentions, pulled from users, from context into dynamic, computable formats.
So it's translating our values into something the system can actually work with.
Precisely. It serves as the system's sort of semantic experiential backbone. It's what allows meaning to be actively used in the system's adaptations.
Now, I know cybernetics plays a role here too. Most people think of first-order cybernetics, right? Like a thermostat controlling a room, the controller's outside the system.
Right. That's the classic control model. Observer outside, system observed.
But RRA seems to build on second-order cybernetics, where the observer is part of the system. recognizing that we're always in these feedback loops.
Exactly. Second-order cybernetics brings the observer into the loop. ORA takes that further by actually letting users see and even modify their system's ontological codes in real time.
So you can actually interact with the system's core understanding of meaning.
Yeah. It's not just a black box. You can see how your intentions are being interpreted and maybe even tweak the underlying values the system is operating on. This connects deeply to theories of living systems, too.
How so?
Well, thinkers like Capra, Maturana, again, Lovelock, they talk about systems as living, evolving entities. ORA-based systems are designed more like semi-autonomous organisms. They're meant to evolve with their human hosts within their planetary context, not just static machines.
Okay, so the system understands meaning, it evolves.
Yeah.
But how does the AI part of this work? How does it grasp something as subtle as intention or symbolism? This sounds like a leap beyond current AI.
It is a significant leap. This is where ORA's real-time architect agent, or RTA, comes in. It's not just one type of AI. It uses what's called neurosymbolic cognition.
Neurosymbolic meaning.
It means combining the strengths of deep learning, which is great at recognizing patterns, sort of intuitive with symbolic reasoning, like knowledge graphs, which handle structured knowledge and logic. It's like bridging intuition and intellect in the AI.
Okay, so what does this RTA do with that capability?
It allows the RTA to understand context, emotion, symbolism much more deeply than conventional AI. It can generate coherent narratives, whether that's spatial layouts or temporal sequences. And crucially, it modifies the system's structures, the architecture, the interface, based on what it learns about your values, its internal value grammars.
So the AI isn't just executing tasks, it's participating.
That's the key shift. It becomes a cognitive partner. It's helping you co-create your environment, your workflow, whatever it is, based on a shared understanding of purpose. Not just a tool, but a collaborator.
That's genuinely fascinating. So if that's the AI, what are the other core components? You mentioned ORA has these interdependent modules.
Right. There are four main pillars that work together.
Let's start with the first one, the OntoMesh. What's that?
The OntoMesh is essentially a decentralized, self-evolving graph. Think of it as a dynamic map of meaning, ethics, and purpose for the user or group.
What kind of things does it map?
It models several layers. Your internal mental models may be derived from things you say, write, or even biometric feedback if you choose. It maps your value grammars, key principles like, say, sustainability or community or maybe flow state, harmony. And it connects these to spatial or procedural things like architectural layouts, team rituals, project workflows.
So it reflects where things are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Acts as both a mirror of the current state, showing you how your intentions and values are currently embodied, and also as a kind of blueprint for potential interventions or evolutions. It shows the is and the could be.
Okay, and then there's the RTA, the real-time architects, which we just talked about, that cognitive partner AI.
Correct. We covered its core, but its functions really are threefold. It's a spatial semantic design partner helping visualize and shape environments. It's an intent translator bridging that gap between your abstract ideas and concrete system actions.
And the third function.
It's a purpose alignment advisor. It watches how you interact, gestures, decisions, what you focus on, and constantly refines its proposals, modifying architecture, digital interfaces, workflows to better reflect that emergent ontology, that developing sense of purpose.
Can I look ahead?
Yes, interestingly, it can even simulate future states. Based on the current trajectory of your intentions within the OntoMesh, it can project potential outcomes showing scenarios based on harmony or perhaps dissonance with your stated goal.
Wow. Okay, the next one. Psychosynthetics engine. I mean, that name alone, it really does sound like science fiction. What on earth does that do?
It does have a certain ring to it, but it serves a very specific function. It's a generative AI module, but a very sophisticated one.
Generative AI like image generators.
Sort of, but deeper. It blends what they call archetypal design languages, think cross-cultural symbols, myths, core human emotions with temporal spatial intelligence, so understanding narrative arcs, how things unfold. And it combines that with generative design logic, geometry, materials, aesthetics.
So
Its job is to actually manifest artifacts. These could be aesthetic, functional, or both. Maybe it's a physical building design, a digital workspace layout, maybe even a sequence for a team ritual. But the key is, these artifacts are designed to align deeply with the user's inner reality, their archetypal patterns, and the overall systemic goals defined in the OntoMesh.
It's like an AI dream interpreter meets an architect.
That's not a bad analogy. It's trying to translate those deep, often pre-rational, symbolic needs and intentions into tangible or experiential forms that feel inherently right, resonant.
Okay, so we have these systems modeling, meaning adapting, even generating artifacts based on our deep intentions. But how do we keep it all aligned? How do we ensure it doesn't go off track or develop in ways that contradict our core values?
That's absolutely crucial, and that's the role of the fourth pillar, the Purpose Harmonics Protocol, or PHP.
Purpose Harmonics Protocol. Okay.
At the heart of every ORA deployment is something called a cosmogram. You can think of it as the system's foundational philosophy, its guiding ethos, its constitution almost.
Can you give examples? What would a cosmogram look like?
Sure. It could be based on Ubuntu principles, focusing on community interconnectedness, or it might be grounded in biophilic design, prioritizing connection to nature, perhaps Taoist minimalism, emphasizing simplicity and flow, or even something like techno-Renaissance codes, focusing on human augmentation and creativity. It's a coherent value aesthetic framework.
And the PHP connects to this cosmogram.
Exactly. The PHP acts like an ongoing tuning fork. It ensures that all the system's adaptations, all the RTA's proposals, all the psychosynthetics engine's creations are not just optimal in some technical sense, but are also resonant with that chosen cosmogram, that foundational philosophy.
So it's the ethical compass.
It's the ethical compass, yes, but also the aesthetic guide and the evolutionary driver. It keeps the whole system anchored to its core purpose, ensuring it evolves in a way that's coherent and aligned with that chosen metaphysical foundation.
Okay, this is incredibly detailed, so we understand the why and the what. Let's talk about ORA in action. How would this actually roll out? You mentioned 3 implementation phases.
Right. Phase 1 is focused on the individual. It's called the Personal Reality Modulator, or PRM.
A system just for you and your values. That sounds intense and incredibly personal.
It's designed to be. It's a solo user interface, really. The goal is to translate your individual values, intentions, maybe even emotional states into your own evolving onto mesh.
How would you interact with it?
It could be through natural language. Maybe you feed it journal entries, vision statements, project goals. The system could then give you real-time narrative feedback, something like, okay, based on your recent inputs, you seem to be in a phase exploring the integration of creativity and structure.
And it could suggest things.
Yes, it might offer AI-generated suggestions tailored to your OntoMesh. For example, if your values point towards focus and nature, it might suggest, consider configuring your digital workspace with calming forest tones and minimal distractions. Or even propose physical changes, like orienting your desk towards the window.
That sounds incredibly useful, but maybe also potentially isolating if it's too personalized.
That's a valid concern, and something the ethical framework addresses the need for connection and diverse input. But the core idea of the PRM is establishing that individual resonance first, making the system truly understand you.
Okay, so after the individual phase, what's next? Phase 2, the collective OS layer. This sounds like where it scales up.
Exactly. This is where it gets really interesting for collaboration. Phase 2 focuses on the team, community, or maybe organizational level.
So multiple people interacting with the same ORA system.
Yes. It enables the creation of a shared group onto mesh. It's about collaborative design, allowing a group to genuinely align around a shared purpose and see how that purpose evolves.
What would that look like in practice?
Imagine a design team using it to develop a product aligned with sustainability principles. The system could help them visualize consensus, maybe flag areas where their individual intentions diverge, or think of artists co-creating an immersive virtual world using ORA to ensure the environment reflects their collective artistic vision.
Could it show the group's personality?
In a way, yes. It could offer functionalities like group archetype visualization, maybe showing the team, okay, collectively, you're currently embodying a tension between the innovator and the guardian archetypes. It helps the group understand its own dynamics and collective consciousness.
And then phase 3 takes it off the screen and into the real world. Embedded infrastructure deployment.
Precisely. This is where ORA principles get applied to actual, physical, or hybrid infrastructure. Buildings, urban systems, shared VR environments.
How does it connect to the physical world?
Through IoT sensing, primarily. Sensors monitoring things like lighting levels, air quality, how space is actually being used, maybe even ambient noise. This data feeds back into the OntoMesh.
Give me a vivid example. What would an ORA-enabled building feel like?
Imagine an adaptive workplace. Meeting rooms could literally morph based on the team's needs and the meeting's purpose. Maybe walls subtly shift, lighting changes from bright and focused to soft and collaborative, furniture might even reconfigure itself. Or Picture a smart city quarter where the layout, maybe pedestrian flow or public space usage, subtly adapts based on aggregated well-being indicators from the community's collective onto-mesh.
And users could interact directly.
Yes, users could potentially tune their environment, maybe adjust a room's ambiance via gestures or voice commands, telling the system, I need a space for focused work, and the lighting, soundscape, even airflow might shift accordingly.
It sounds incredibly data intensive. What kind of information is actually being captured here, and what's the tech stack underneath it all?
It is data rich, absolutely. You're looking at everything from natural language input, user interactions, decisions made within the system, to potentially optional biosignals like heart rate variability or EEG focus metrics, always with user consent, of course. Also, data about the generated artifacts themselves, how coherent they are with the onto-mesh.
On the technology.
On the software side, you'd need robust knowledge graph engines to handle the onto-mesh, fine-tuned large language models for the narrative and translation aspects, specialized AI for the RTA and psychosynthetics engine, and custom visualization tools. Hardware-wise, for embedded systems, you're talking ambient sensors, LiDAR, cameras, microphones, plus potentially human input devices like wearables, EEG headsets, maybe kinetic furniture that can move, AR headsets for overlays.
Okay, this level of integration, sensing, and adaptation inevitably brings up huge ethical questions.
Yeah.
If these systems can embody our purpose, our values, even sense our state, what are the guardrails? This feels critical.
It's absolutely paramount because RRA explicitly treats ontology, aesthetics, and purpose as computable variables. You need a very strong ethical and governance framework from the outset. They propose several key principles.
Well, the first one.
The right to ontological self-determination. This is fundamental. It means individuals and communities must have the sovereign right to define, choose, and modify their own operating ontologies, their own cosmograms.
So no top-down imposition of values.
None. The system must support customization, remixing of cosmograms. All its reasoning and behaviors based on that ontology need to be transparent and, crucially, editable by the users. This is vital for ensuring cultural diversity and neurodivergent participation aren't flattened out.
What else? Transparency seems key here.
Yes, the second principle is transparency of inner code. And this goes way beyond typical AI explainability. It's about making the system's meaning-making process visible.
Oh.
Through things like visual semantic chains showing you why a specific design emerged, like this layout was proposed because collaboration plus natural light were prioritized in your onto-mesh. It might use archetypal overlays. The system senses you're navigating a mentor phase. And the underlying transformation grammars, the rules the system uses, should be editable.
So the system isn't a black box dictating meaning.
Exactly. It's positioned as a collaborator in meaning evolution. You should be able to understand its reasoning and influence it.
You mentioned cosmograms, the foundational philosophies. How are those managed?
That leads to the third principle, cosmogram licensing and community governance. The idea is to have open standards for creating and sharing these cosmograms. Communities using a shared ORA space could then potentially vote on or collectively customize the foundational cosmogram for that space.
Allowing for different worldviews to coexist.
Precisely. It promotes what they call epistemic plurality, allowing diverse ways of knowing and valuing to be respected and implemented within the technological framework.
And finally, accessibility. How do you make sure everyone can participate in this potentially complex system?
That's the fourth pillar, inclusion and accessibility. It's designed from the ground up to support multimodal input, not just text, but speech, gesture, maybe even music or symbolic input. It needs multilingual ontologies.
What about different cognitive styles?
That's crucial too. They emphasize designing for neurodivergent user experiences, perhaps using metaphor-based interaction instead of purely abstract controls, allowing sensory tuning, and ensuring the UI/UX itself can be culturally encoded so it resonates appropriately across different backgrounds. They call this ontological accessibility, making sure everyone can see their way of understanding the world reflected and respected by the system.
These ethical considerations are clearly woven deep into the concept. So looking ahead, if Project ORA or something like it were to achieve its full vision, what are the truly profound implications? What are the big, bold hypotheses here?
ORA puts forward some really provocative hypotheses. The first is that systems can evolve toward purpose, not just efficiency. This challenges the dominant paradigm. It suggests that systems genuinely reflecting intrinsic user purpose will actually be more adaptable, lead to higher satisfaction, and be more resilient in the long run than purely efficiency-driven ones.
Interesting. What's the second?
Second, the idea that infrastructure can become conscious in orientation. Again, not sentient AI, but systems that genuinely know what they're for. The hypothesis here is that human creativity, psychological well-being, resilience, even group coherence could increase significantly when our environments actively hold and adapt to our symbolic intentions.
Code number 3.
Third, and this is really interesting for AI safety debates, aesthetic code is the missing dimension in AI alignment. The argument is that current alignment approaches often miss the boat because they neglect the pre-rational symbolic and aesthetic layers that are so fundamental to human meaning and values. ORA proposes that aligning AI at this deeper aesthetic symbolic level could lead to safer, more intuitive, and frankly, more helpful AI co-creators.
That feels like a major paradigm shift for AI ethics.
It potentially is, and the fourth hypothesis is perhaps the most mind-bending. Reality is editable and co-designed.
Editable reality.
Yeah. ORA treats reality, or at least our experienced reality within these systems, not as a fixed given, but as something co-authored through these ontological grammars and design choices. It suggests a move away from AI that just predicts the future, towards AI that helps us participate in modeling and shaping it. The future becomes less about prediction and more about collective ontological authorship.
Wow. Collective ontological authorship.
Yeah.
That really makes you think, what if your environment, your tools, could literally co-author your future with you based on your deepest values?
That's the core provocation. Project ORA represents this fundamental shift, moving away from just using tools towards a kind of purpose-driven co-evolution with our technology and our spaces. It's proposing a world where our systems, cities, software, workplaces are guided not just by functions and rules, but by meaning, by resonance, by purpose.
OntoReal Architectures, then, are the framework, the scaffolding for trying to build that world. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, the listener, to consider. If your spaces, both digital and physical, could genuinely understand your deepest intentions, your why, and evolve right alongside you, what new possibilities might open up for your own creativity, for how we collaborate, for our collective well-being? What kind of world would you actually want to co-design?
It's a powerful question, and maybe a starting point is just to reflect, even in small ways, how you might begin to consciously imbue more meaning and purpose into your own environments starting today.